bound to the contract.
Se paró de grabar un tantito, por eso ya me excedí de la hora. Pero no importa, sigamos con la misión. Está buena.
I also thought to tell him how the past generations of Qixing had strove under his rule to survive in our mortal world. But I dared not speak. I could only gaze at him in silence until the moment I awoke.
Oh, Ningguang.
Yet another perspective. What are you trying to say, Outlander?
Right! That's something that happened in Mondstadt. It's a story about the Four Winds and the people of the Animal Archon. The Animal Archon sought to quell the strife between the two sides, because he believed that such conflict would only scar the hearts of both, and that nothing good would come of it.
Each of the 7 nations has its own scars from the past.
Though your point is the very height of simplicity. As Adepti, we've become a laughingstock, to be chastised thus by an outlander who has lent us such succor.
All right. Didn't Ningguang suggest that we should focus on the city and each of its citizens? I know I already have, so why not see for yourselves?
I apologize for appearing in full armor. I am afraid I cannot show the proper courtesies.
And who are you?
I am Feng Yan, a sergeant of the Millelith. I have come to extend my thanks to the Adepti. I thought this battle would perhaps be my last. But thanks to the aid of the Adepti, our forces were not as badly battered as I feared we might be. Although I am a mere mortal soldier, I promise to hold the line and never betray the grace given to us by the illuminated Adepti this day.
Why does everyone look so down? Didn't we just beat that big monster?
Weren't you frightened, dear? It was quite the predicament.
I wasn't afraid. All the strong Millelith guards were there. When
Sí, la
dangerous
viejita que hizo
near,
ahorita que
everyone always
estamos
protects
allá
them.
arriba, no vi.
And the rest of the time, thanks for protecting Leo.
Unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to participate.
Huh?
Because we are Adepti.
Oh, okay. It must be...
You see, this is what Liyue is like today. The country of contracts is grateful to the Adepti for their protection. But it is no longer necessary for the city to rely on the Adepti's power to solve every little niggling matter. Although their blood is weak, there is still strength to be found in those we call mortals. The time of contracts between gods and Liyue has long since passed. Now...
Seeing the port around us now, it is hard not to feel a bit out of place. Wouldn't you say so?
Your line of inquiry is askew. One did not spearhead this expedition to Liyue Harbor.
Seems like the Adepti have had a change of heart.
Let us return now.
Eager to leave, conqueror of demons.
Yes, one understands what the Conqueror of Demons means. The city of Liyue has changed much after our long separation. One fears that by the time one finally grasps the new contracts of Liyue, fair enough. Away we shall, and
Since we Adepti have consensus, then one shall persist no further. But how will we ensure that the Liyue Qixing will not simply exploit their power once we depart? In my view, that is still a thing to be guarded against.
All right, Mooncarver, you needn't worry. It seems to me that this right of supervision is best left to the...
Looks like the conflict between humans and Adepti was avoided. All's well that ends. Oh, right! It's nice that we've got peace and all. Child wanted to unleash, but we were able to handle the Overlord of the Vortex on our own. So, oh, and speaking of that, don't we still need to get to the bottom of that Archon's death, too? Jaime doesn't get it. But isn't the strongest lead we have the Adeptilus Rite of Party that we're organizing? No idea where Zhongli's going. Let's ask for him at Wangshen Funeral Parlor.
Bueno, pues no cambio el mapa. Creo que este es el video más largo que voy a grabar. No sé si poner la primera parte y la segunda, que duró 1 hora. Y esta última, que no sé cuánto va a durar. The Fun Farewell. Aparentemente creo que aquí se va a acabar. Vamos a ver. Vamos a ver qué pasa. No sé qué es eso. Uy. Es lo que me gusta de este juego. Las misiones son tanto vistosas como difíciles, pero respetables. Pero es difícil así como que absurdamente. Lo que sí está absurdamente difícil son los dragones. Al menos para lo que yo lo tengo desbloqueado. Me cuesta uno y parte del otro terminar el dragón. El Stone Dragon. Bueno. Está pidiendo que busque al Zhongli en el banco. Ah, rayos. Caen mal las escaleras. Esos de Fatui se pasaron. Ya nos huevearon en la lírica en Mondstadt. Y ahora quisieron atacar Blue Harbor. Esos son los menos malos, creo yo. Y a ver si la hermana de este güey no trabaja, o el hermano. En el caso de que vean ustedes el personaje mujer, el malo supuestamente va a ser el hermano. Entonces, a ver si el gemelo no suelta ser el...
Don't take it to heart, child. Besides, aren't you happy that you got to skip the formalities and bring chaos to the land? I'm sure you must have enjoyed that. Oh, it seems that some of your friends have arrived.
Hey, it's Zhongli and Child. And you're also one?
It's you two. I believe we've met once before. In the city of Bards, was it? I'm glad you still remember my name. Ah, right. I imagine that it must have been rather hard to forget watching helplessly as something precious was snatched away from your friend.
No, don't let her get to you. You've yet to gather the powers of all 7 elements, and our last battle at the Golden House was almost more than you could handle. So it might be best to keep things peaceful this time, seeing that 2 of the Harbingers are here.
Well, if it isn't you two. This is our first time seeing each other since Liuwa was nearly wiped off the map. This is certainly a bit awkward, wouldn't you say?
I knew that we should never have trusted a Fatui Harbinger.
Oh, now don't say that. Sure, I may have misled you, but I never had anything against you personally. Besides, I thought we were getting along quite well together, didn't you? Except for that little tussle we had at the end. Nothing personal. We just have different views, that's all. Of course, you may very well hold this against me, but that's up to you. The real deceivers here are Senora and Zhongli. Curse them for leading me on. So actually, I think...
Stop wasting time, child. There'll be plenty of time to chat once I'm through here. You remember the agreement, Morax. Now, if you would be so kind. The Gnosis, please.
What in the world are you talking about?
The contract is fulfilled. That which thou seeketh is now bestowed unto thee. For my promise is solidest.
How sanctimonious.
What? So you're the Lord of Geo? No, wait. That's an exciting twist and all, but why give the Gnosis to the Fatui?
I do not give it for free. I give it as agreed upon in the contract. For it is a matter solely between the Tsaritsa and I.
Yeah, you don't think you went a little bit too far with that whole fake death thing? Everyone was preparing the ceremony for you and splat! This big dragon...
Gathering all the forces that had been bubbling behind the scenes, and then stirring them together in a pot that was bound to boil.
Wait, what?
Perhaps it's best that I explain. As you know, I've dwelt upon this world for more than 6,000 years. I witnessed the founding of Liyue, together with the Adepti 3,700 years ago. Even boulders that can withstand whirlpools will erode with the passing of time. I kept convincing myself that cracks had not begun to form, and that the end of my time had not yet come. Until one drizzly day, as I was strolling along the harbor, I heard a merchant tell one of his workers, "You've finished your duties. Go ahead and call it a day." I stood motionless among the crowds, asking myself, have I already finished my duties?
Oh, Zhongli.
But as I began to consider relinquishing my divine role, I soon discovered that many reasons still remained to not hastily depart. Was Liyue, the city I had dwelt in for so long, already prepared to enter its next age? I decided that a test was needed, so I feigned my own death, and gathered the cast of Child, the Adepti, and the Liyue Chising to play their roles together on the stage that was Liyue. That's right, which is why I continued to safeguard the Gnosis until now.
So you mean that if the chaos ever reached the point of no return, you would simply appear and use your divine...
Of course, and it would have been all too easy for him too. Just as a child quickly matures after losing their parents, so has Liyue matured when faced with the death of its deity.
I was pleasantly surprised with the finale of the show that you all put on. Why, you even deserved an encore. The Adepti deserve the greatest applause, considering their years of seclusion. They hardly recognized the city, yet faced with such a crisis, they exerted the greatest amount of restraint. Not only
Entonces este güey se cansó de ser Dios. Dijo, vamos a fingir mi muerte, vamos a intentar destruirla. Y pues si los otros vatos fallan, pues yo entro. Si no, aquí me quedo sentadito.
Keep everything she knew in strict confidence, far from the eavesdropping ears of her colleague Child, just as I had requested.
Espérate, ¿qué es crío? Lo que es el hielo. To fulfill the contract. Said no, that she managed to keep everything she knew in strict confidence, far from the shield, just as I requested.
All the while, I carried on as Zhongli, and fulfilled the traditions of Liyue in this mortal form. Thank you for walking that path with me, traveler. These things were all a part of my script. The only unforeseen plot twist was the conduct of the Liyue Qixing. I had expected them to do no more than the Adepti, to come to the defense of Liyue. But when all was said and done, they seized the opportunity to supplant Liyue as divine protectors, and used the subsequent power vacuum.
Huh? That doesn't sound good at all!
On the contrary, I think it is excellent. I had always feared that it was too soon for them to take over from me. And it was also that which I longed for the most. As such, this is the best parting gift anyone could have given this god of old.
Hey, what about me? Doesn't anyone feel the least bit of remorse for deceiving me? You've practically kept me in the dark!
I think that thanks would be more appropriate. You certainly played no small part in all of this, wreaking havoc and turning the city upside down. The Lord of Geo ought to thank you for your performance, if anything. If you hadn't created the pressure of a battle between mortals, Adepti, and a god, the lump of coal resting in the hands of the Geo Archon, Liyue would never have been able to become a dazzling diamond of a city.
Huh? Just whose side are you on, mocking me like that? Are you itching for a fight? Hey, haven't you learned the Liyue saying, don't always call it as you see it?
Well then, with the Gnosis in my possession, I have no use for such idle chatter. We should return to Zapoljarny Palace and seek an audience with Her Majesty, the Tsaritsa. Come, child.
Fine. I'll meet you there later. I'm not sharing a boat with the light.
Do as you wish.
Now then, is there anything else you wish to ask me?
Right! As Zhongli always told us, a good trade is a fair trade. Paimon has no idea what could be a good trade for a Gnosis.
Realistically speaking, there is no...
Huh?
However, I am the god of contracts. For thousands of years, I have made countless contracts. If the deal was of no benefit, then I certainly would not be inclined to agree to it. My agreement with the Cryo Archon will be the last of my contracts as the Geo Archon. My contract to end all contracts. As for the bargaining chip that the Tsaritsa used to balance the scales, uncover that answer for yourself in your future journeys.
Entonces cambió su poder de Dios para dejar de ser Dios. Eso fue su contrato, último contrato. No, pues wow. El de Geo nos resultó huevoncito el vato. Pero a ver, si Venti es el Acron de Anemo, esta tal... ¿cómo es que se llama? Se me olvidó el nombre. La chava esta que se acaba de ir es la del Crío, o sea, el del hielo. El de Geo es este Zhongli. Nos falta ver quién es el de Electro, el de agua y el de fuego. Y el del corazoncito, ¿cómo se llama? Acabo de olvidar el nombre. After...
Today's the day of the rite of parting. Although the star of the show is fake, We've spent so much time trying to organize it, it would be a real shame not to go there now.
Nunca llegar ahí arriba, ¿cómo llegar arriba? El güey está bien alto.
Let's play!
¡Qué nombre!
Oh, come on. There's only one real possibility in my mind. I've heard that the assassin was that Fatui fellow. Youngish, pretty high in rank.
Fatui? They certainly are very suspicious.
You know that god from the ocean couldn't have just shown up out of nowhere. I mean, it's been 2,000 years since Rex Lapis subdued it.
Yes, and to think that this happened right on the heels of the incident with Rex Lapis, too?
Say, do you think the person who assassinated our lord and released that evil god might have been one and the same?
Now that you mention it, that's very possible. Yes, I mean, it all fits together. That person must have...
for...
Pues creen que lo mató el chido.
Hear ye all! The chief, though a dragon soars ageless as the mountains, it too must return to dust. This is common knowledge. Gods and Adepti live glorious lives, but both light and shadow have their season. So too must they face divinely appointed trials. Rumors and hearsay abound on the streets that Rex Lapis was murdered. Now, let the truth be revealed. Having been thwarted in his trial, Rex Lapis's soul has recouped the celestial heights. He beseeches the people of Liyue to grieve not and to let not their hearts be saddened. Nor are they to believe street-born rumors or indulge in baseless speculation.
Paimon needs a translation on what the Qixing's announcement said. So that's how they're spinning it. Something feels off. Why would they suddenly give up looking for the murderer? Could the Qixing already have known that Rex Lapis wasn't dead? But Zhongli said that neither they nor the Adepti knew anything. Did Zhongli tell them in secret after his gnosis changed hands? Exactly, right? Ooh, seems like the rite of parting has been going on for a while now. Let's...
Ah, cómo se tardan en despedirse de las cosas.
Look, it's Ningguang and Keqing. Are they saying something? Are their speeches over?
As said previously, Rex Lapis's soul returning to the heavens is the end of the contract. And it is also the end of an era.
3,700 years of contracts burnt and reduced to ash.
We, the people of Liyue, were indeed prosperous. But blinded by our prosperity, we forgot that time can be pitiless.
The long, unending dream of our Archon walking among us.
Now that we have awoken from our dream, we must learn to say, will you stand with us as we re-establish our contracts? As we build a new age of prosperity?
So concludes the words of Her Eminence the Tianquan. Does Her Eminence the Yuheng have anything to add?
Is she looking this way?
Traveler.
Yikes! She really is looking.
Is that the traveler who they say defeated the ancient god?
So young. The Liyue Qixing always repay their debts. And as you have heard, our eyes see far and our reach is long. Name your price.
Whoa.
Well, could you help me put up some missing person posters?
And to think I'd put my best perfume on before coming here, thinking you'd like it. But it's, well, that's fine.
Phone forward. Talk to.
As for the...
Dos. Tres. No me interesa qué tienen que decir.
Hey, Zhongli! Look at this. Everyone in Liyue is caught up in their emotions, thinking that they'll... And here you are looking all relaxed.
Why would I not feel more at ease after laying down the burden I have borne? Right. If the two of you can spare the time, I should treat you to a meal.
That sounds like...
You're right. I do like the Mora.
But why would Morax lack Mora?
As the Rex Lapis Morax, I can easily create Mora. But since I have chosen to walk this earth as the mortal Zhongli, I should abide by the same rules that mortals do. When I was journeying with you, though I still had...
Oh, no wonder! Paimon gets it now. You didn't look at the price tags when we were spending because you've never had to. But since you weren't used to not being able to just make...
Well, we were only spending Fatui money. You don't have to say it like that. In the City of Commerce, we do not merely the Archon Morax. I must thank you for that. I will treasure the memories that I made as Zhongli, traveling the streets of Liyue with you. That is true. But there is no journey that does not end. No meetings without partings.
Paimon thinks that we should make a move and continue our search for the Seven.
I fear that continuing your journey may be difficult. The nation that neighbors Liyue by sea, Inazuma, is presently closed. The Electro-Archon Ball. And just as the people of Liyue preferred to call me Rex Lapis, she too goes by another name among locals in Inazuma.
Paimon thinks we've heard that one before.
That is the case. And since Raiden is also the Shogun of the Inazuma Bakufu, people call her the Raiden Shogun.
That said, though people at the wharf were saying that the situation in Inazuma is very tense, Paimon doesn't remember that always being the case. Zhongli, since you're Rex Lapis, shouldn't you know something about what's happening there?
It's because of visions.
Visions?
When faced with circumstances beyond their control, humans often bemoan their lack of power. But if a person shows true strength of will at a desperate and fateful moment in their life, this is what visions are. Magic.
Uh-huh. That's how people in Teyvat see it.
But starting from last year, the Raiden Shogun...
Vision Hunt Decree?
Yes. It was an order to seize all visions within Inazuma's borders, and to inlay them upon the hands of a statue of the 1,000-armed, 100-eyed god.
They want to seize visions? But why? Aren't visions blessings from the gods?
I should think that in the Raiden Shogun's eyes, it is precisely because they are divine blessings that they should be
Whoa!
The Anemo Archon is the god of freedom, and the Geo-Archon is the god of contracts. For her part, the Raiden Shogun is the god of eternity. It seems as though she has finally decided to eliminate any unstable elements that could pose a threat to her eternal realm. The fact that even I, the oldest of the seven, have now passed away will only strengthen her resolve to pursue eternity. Knowing her, she must have again quoted that adage she is most fond of when proclaiming that decree to her people. 7 ideals for 7 gods, and of these, eternity is nearest unto heaven. All right then. Was there anything else you wish to know? Ah, that was a good one. Failing a divine trial. How they came up with that said, the reason why the Qixing were so eager to resolve the incident and stop pursuing the culprit was indeed because they received news in secret that Rex Lapis was not. I hinted as much to the Adepti as well. How did I accomplish that, you ask? Have you ever heard of this particularly convenient Adepti art known as gifting dreams? All right then. Was there anything else you wish to know?
Yeah, about that. Before the Qixing made their announcement, we listened to...
These are indeed false accusations. But it remains undeniably true that Child did send people to the Jade Chamber to prevent the Adepti and the Qixing from defeating the ancient god. I've heard that Ningguang is busy milking that for all it's worth on the foreign relations front at the moment, browbeating the envoys of the Fatui. Ha! Those poor Snezhnayan diplomats. If it...
Bueno,
all right, then.
ya sabemos que nos van a mandar
Was there
al...
anything else you wish to know? Well then, I suppose you'll have to find a way to get inside.
Nos van a mandar al mundo de la electricidad, gente. No lo puedo creer. No pensé que este día llegaría. Ahora no está el mundo de la electricidad. Que lo traigan. Constelaciones, terminamos. El de la Tierra. Bueno, hasta aquí voy a dejar el video porque ya se acabó la misión. Entonces, ay Dios, qué buena estuvo esa misión. Bueno, entonces los dejo. Les pido que me ayuden con un like y suscríbanse y nos vemos pronto. Hasta la próxima.